So should you invest in commercial property or should you stick to residential property investing? To answer that question, watch this video. So should you be investing in commercial property or residential property? That's a good question, and I was really intrigued by this question myself. And I watched this video by Samuel Leeds and Ranjan. And to watch this video, make sure you press on this link so you can watch that video in full. But I'm going to share with you just some of the insights that they had on their video and their interview. So let's go ahead and watch their snippet of this video.
So what's going on right here, right now? There's a tiny echo because we're in a like a big office.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a big fan of HMOs. This is my HMO. So
yeah.
This is a office building, and we've been converting the floor by floor into serviced offices. So this space here is going to be serviced offices, and I say it's like HMOs because basically the tenants rent a serviced office suite, and they have shared facilities like bathrooms, a boardroom, a meeting room where they can present, and staff shared kitchen, teas, coffees, and that kind of stuff. And it's quite interesting. So we're going to have about 45 businesses in this building by the end of the year.
That's great.
Build a little bit of a community. Already doing a little bit of business with some of the other business owners in the building. So it's
great. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And are you still buying any residential? Would you buy residential now?
I don't buy residential. I buy commercial and make them into residential and then hold them on.
Okay.
So we're doing a couple of projects where we've got office buildings and converted them to... I mean, this building here is in St Albans. We actually purchased this to convert it to residential. But when we churned through the figures, found that so many people have converted office buildings to residential that there's a desperate shortage of offices.
Wow, interesting.
And in St Albans, over the last 3 years, office rents have gone up from £16.50 a square foot to over 30.
I love how fluid you are there, though, because you've taken a strategy, and then sometimes people say to me, what happens if everyone does it? Well, if everyone does it, then you just change strategy slightly.
Oh, yeah, you do something. Yeah, it's the numbers will tell you what to do.
Yeah, and the market will tell you what to do.
And the market will tell you what to do.
You know, so you've got turning commercial into residential. Suddenly everyone starts doing it. So you think, actually, I'm just going to buy commercial and keep it commercial. And there's not enough. It's like HMOs. If everyone's doing HMOs, it will get to a point where there's not enough single lets.
Yes.
In which case, it might be like, actually, single lets are really profitable now.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there was a little mixed views of commercial versus residential, and there's some benefits and disbenefits on investing in residential as well as commercial property investing. Have a look at their video for more details. I would recommend that you watch the full video so you get a good feeling of that type of investing question. Indeed, there were some other insights that their video had, so I'm not going to spoil that for you. Please go ahead and watch that video to get some more insights. So the first benefit, I would say, of investing in a commercial property over a residential property is the amount of stamp duty land tax that you pay. First of all, the banded rate for commercial properties stick at a certain level. And if you look at the residential investment rates, you are going to be paying more SDLT as property values keeps going up. So let's compare now. If you buy a property for £250,000, you can see that you'll be paying £10,000 VAT on a residential investment versus just £2,000 on a commercial building. So that's £10,000 SDLT for a residential versus £2,000 on a commercial. You're saving £8,000 on SDLT alone. So that's a first significant benefit of investing in commercial buildings than residential. So let's look at an example whereby we compare now the commercial building and the residential. We're going to look at an example where you've got £250,000 And then we're going to look at the SDLT and the amount of costs that you'll invest. So you won't spend all of that. You don't need all of that £250,000 because you are going to get a mortgage. We are going to assume here that the amount of mortgage you get on both the residential and the commercial is 75%. But I am no RFA, I'm no mortgage broker. Please speak to your mortgage broker first before you make any decision of buying residential or indeed commercial. So let's have a look at this scenario whereby you've bought this £250,000 property. What's next? Well, you're going to have to put 25% in, which is going to be £62,500. Now, that's on both residential and commercial. There's no difference there. However, we did note that the amount of SDLT will be £10,000 on the residential building versus £2,000 on the commercial property. So that's £8,000. You've then got the £25,000 refurbishment costs, which we're going to make comparisons like for like here. So we're going to say £25,000 each. So in total, you have now invested, in cash we talk about here, £97,500 for the residential building, and you have literally saved £8,000 by having the commercial building simply because of the SDLT. So let's have a look at another side to residential building investments to commercial. And let's be fair, one of the things we need to look at is rental income. Now, it's fair to say that in certain areas you'll always be able to get more residential rent than commercial rent in some areas. Okay. But you need to do your due diligence because there are some areas whereby commercial rent is more competitive, it's more in demand, and therefore you should be able to get more rental income than residential. So make sure you do your comparisons between residential and commercial in different localities because you are going to get more rent in different districts for each type of investments that you make. It's all part of your due diligence process. So let's compare a residential building and a commercial when we talk about rent. Now, residential buildings, you will have a AST, a short hold tenancy agreement with the tenant. And typically that will last for around about 6 months. Now, yes, you can extend it, and most times I'd say if your property is good, that will be extended and it'll be on a rolling contract. Or indeed you can ask them to complete another AST. But on a commercial building, it is completely different. You could have a scenario whereby you have not just 6 months, but you can go all the way to 25 years. So which do you prefer, the 6 month or the 25-year guarantee that you will receive that rental income? The other side to residential versus commercial is if you've got a tenant in your property, it's unlikely that you are going to increase their rental charge every month to them. Why? Because you don't want to upset the tenants, you don't want them to leave, because if they leave, then you've got the hassle of refurbing the property, you've then got to get a new tenant into the property. It's a lot of faff. So what you tend to do is keep that rental agreement fixed, and as long as they stay in that property, you're happy. However, after about 6-7 years and you've not increased that rent, that's missed opportunity that you may have. With a commercial property investment though, that is different. You may have break clauses all the way through the agreement, and what will happen in there, you have an upward only rental agreement. Yes, that's right, upward only rental agreement, which basically means you get more money from that property. So again, which one do you prefer? To stay the same in terms of rental income or increase your rental income over time? You decide. Talking of tenants, do you have the scenario whereby your tenant will call you up and say, oh, the cooker's broken, or something's happened with a boiler. Can you have someone fix it? You've got the hassle, a horrible hassle of finding a plumber that can go to the property. Now, let's be honest here. If you're trying to call any tradesperson to go to that property and you haven't got a good relationship, it could be a long time before A, you can get through to the plumber, B, before they can go out and get a quote, and C, schedule the work in. And whilst this is going on, the tenant is getting miffed with you. So it's a pain and a faff, and the maintenance is all up to you on residential properties. However, this all changes if you have commercial properties. Yes, indeed, it all changes. You have a maintenance agreement that basically says any maintenance to the property inside is up to you. You maintain the building, don't call me, you get on with it. So in terms of a quiet time, you can have quieter time with an upward increasing rent coming to you on a commercial building. With a rent, you could have this faff with calling tradespeople, trying to get them in, and that's really going to eat up your time. So if you compare this pound per hour of amount of time you've invested into this property, I would argue that you would get more return on hour from a commercial building than you would a residential. And finally, some of the other benefits of commercial property investing. Section 24. Now, if you haven't looked at my video on Section 24, please do so by going to this link here, where I talk about what Section 24 is and how it affects your residential property portfolio. But I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. I want to talk about the impact here, because sure enough, that does impact you as a residential property investor. But Section 24, well, what's Section 24 if you're a commercial property investor? I don't know. It doesn't affect me. I don't care. Therefore, my tax situation is not affected by Section 24 mortgage interest relief cap, because I own commercial, not residential. So let's compare now a commercial property versus residential property and Section 24. First of all, we've got to look at the mortgage. So we know we've got a mortgage of $187,500. So we know that the mortgage interest cost is going to be $6,563 per year. So let's now look at the next schedule, which focuses on the profitability of a commercial property versus a residential. So let's compare ourselves now. If we invested in commercial property versus residential, how much more money would we make? Well, as we established earlier, we do make more profit from the commercial property investing. In fact, we make £6,938 per year with an amount that's invested of £89,500, which gives us a nice 8% return on investment, which is more than the residential property investment, which only gives us 6%. So which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the 8% return on investment on a commercial building versus 6%? Now, at this point, you'd argue, well, commercial property investing, surely that's better. Given the return on investment that you can make on commercial buildings versus residential, why are you not investing in commercial buildings? Please type in your comments box below your thoughts, your ideas, your concerns of why you are not currently investing in commercial property. I'll be really interested in your views. And if you've got any questions, make sure that you type those in, because I will be on hand to answer those within 36 hours. Alright, so I talked about before Section 24, mortgage interest relief cap, and you should have watched my other video by now to get more of a detail, but let's make a comparison of what impact it has of a like-for-like comparison. A commercial property versus residential. Now we know that we made £5,438 profit from our residential investment. However, we do need to add back the mortgage interest costs to get the tax calculation correct. So we've now got to add on 6563, which is the mortgage interest cost, which gives us a nice round number of £12,000. The tax of 40% is now applied to that £12,000, which gives you a tax charge now of £4,800. But don't worry, you do get a generous, I use the word generous in the most lightest of touches, of tax reducer. So basically that means that HMRC gives you 20% tax relief on the mortgage interest cost. So that means they're going to give you 1,313 back, which means you've got a net tax of 3488 of your tax bill. Now, as we said before, commercial property is not affected by Section 24. So the property tax is going to be 40% on the total profits made. And that's taking into account the interest that's already going to reduce it. You don't need to do the add back like you do with the residential property investing. So you're now going to have a situation whereby you have a profit on your commercial property of 6,938 and you're going to have a 40% tax charge, which is 2,775. So as you can see now that you're paying less tax on a commercial property investment than you are a residential property, even though you're making, in a sense, more profit. Does that surprise you? Then if so, type in yes, and if not, type in no in the comments box below.